You're the CEO of Samsung's smartphone division, later Lee Steinberg Sports Management Agency. For those that don't know, Lee Steinberg was Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire was the film based on Lee. And that was all ahead of your bankruptcy. But today you talk about 3 red flags. You reflect back on these 3 red flags that you had from that time that you look back and say, wow, had I known what I know now. So can we start and maybe dive in there for our time together? What were those 3 red flags and the lessons learned?
Well, thanks for asking me. The first was my dad. My dad left when I was 5, and he was my hero, even though he left, but he ruined that at 10 because he forgot my birthday. And it wasn't that he just forgot my birthday. It's when I approached him and said, Dad, how could you forget my birthday? He said, I didn't forget your birthday. I don't celebrate birthdays. And it was such a blatant lie because he had celebrated my sibling's birthday, his girlfriend's birthday, his birthday, that I decided my dad was the biggest liar and cheater that I've ever met. And for 20 years, we had a very difficult relationship. But at 30 years old was the first red flag. My dad gave me a gift. And I was so excited because I thought this gift was representative of my dad wanted a relationship with me and wanted forgiveness for being a shitty dad. And I opened up the gift and it was a jacket. It was a sport coat that fit perfectly. And I started to cry. My wife, I was 30 years old, just married to my dream girl from the 4th grade. And she looked at me and she said, why are you crying? I said, wow, he really cares. It fits me. And he must have gone out of his way to get this for me. So I look inside the jacket to see if it said something like especially made for my son's birthday or Armani but no, he had torn out the pockets of the jacket. And so I couldn't wear it. So I went from complete joy to anger. And I called him in anger to say, hey, why the F would you give me a birthday present after 20 years that I can't even wear? And when I said that to him, he said, because it's not for wearing. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, it's to remind you that money doesn't buy love or happiness. I want you to hang it to look at every day in your closet to remind you you're just like your father. I've made these mistakes and I wish I was ready to hear that. All I heard was, you're a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, an overseller, a back-end seller. You're just like your father. So accordingly, at 30 years old, living my dream life, I told my dad to F off and I hung up on him. 6 years later, I was already running the most notable sports agency in the world. So not only was I worth over $100 million, but I had access to what billionaires couldn't afford to do. Backstages at the Academy Awards, the Grammys, the Oscars, the sidelines at sporting events, the cabins at the Masters. I'm leaving this week again to be with Curtis Strange and Wayne Gretzky and Warren Moon, who later was my business partner in Sports One Marketing, the global sports marketing company that we built. And I asked my best friend, Rob, who ironically in the 4th grade, it's 6th grade camp, I asked Rob, my best friend, to ask my wife to go steady with me, and because I was too scared. And at 6th grade camp, he asked her and she said, no, tell him to ask me himself. And he interpreted that to embarrass me and scream in front of everyone, she rejected you. And so I threw an egg at my wife, which set our journey, many years of her hating me before I got married. But my best friend, Rob, had been with me all these years. I invited him to come to the Masters. And I said, we're going to go take a private NetJet plane. We're going to the NetJet party. Wayne Gretzky, Warren Moon, Joe Montana. Rob, it's all on me. Come with me. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not going. Second red flag. I said, what do you mean? You love golf. You dreamed of the Masters. This is bucket list stuff, buddy. I'm going to take care of everything. Don't worry about the money. He said, it's not the money. It's you. I said, what do you mean it's me? He said, Dave, I don't like what you're doing and I don't like who you hang out with. I don't want to be around you or with the people that you like to be around with. And I said to him, oh, come on, Rob. I'm not doing what those guys are doing. He said, Dave, you can lie to me and continue to lie to me, but I'm really worried about you. Stop lying to yourself. You're going to end up dead, buddy, and I don't want to be around. So I wish at that point I was ready to hear him. I still get choked up because I out of all the relationships, I ended up having a great relationship with my father later in life. But that relationship has never survived. I told him to F off. I told him I hated him. I told other people behind his back how ungrateful he was. I wasn't a good person to him. And, but 2 weeks later, my life would change forever because that was red flag number 3. 2 weeks later, I lied to my wife. I asked her if I could go to the Grammy Awards with Little John, the rapper. And she said, no, you're not paying attention, Dave. You got all these people who love you and you're not listening. You're drinking too much. You're doing things you shouldn't be doing. And you're not paying attention to your family. You should stay home. I'm tired of it. So I told her I had a business meeting and I lied to her, partied my butt off at the Grammy Awards with Little John, came home at 5:30 in the morning. And there she was waiting to tell me that she wasn't happy, that she was going to leave me with my 3 kids, under 8 years old. I had 3 daughters at the time, all healthy, happy, beautiful. And she said she wasn't happy. She was leaving. She told me to take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become, or else I was going to die. And she didn't want to stay. She didn't want the kids to be around it. She knew. And I wish I was ready to listen to her that night, but I wasn't. I remember spinning in circles with my hands out wide, asking her, who do you think did all of this? How dare you talk to me this way? How dare you not be grateful for everything I've done for you? You are living, I remember you were living on a couch at the beach for $50 when we started dating, a month, $50 a month. I go, how dare you talk to me? I went to bed. I hated everybody. I woke up, I hated them even more, and I knew exactly how I would steal their happiness. I was going to take everything away from all of them, my mom, my dad, my wife, my best friend. I was taking away everything, all the money, all the access, all the parties, all the planes and boats and properties. I was going to take it all away. And as I sat full of hate, hating my mom, my dad, my wife, and my best friend, I looked over in the closet. I hadn't seen that jacket for years. And there it was, that stupid jacket. I said to myself, man, I don't hate my mom. I don't hate my dad. I don't hate my best friend. And I certainly don't hate my wife. I just hated myself. And
the key to life, it isn't money. It's happiness. And when you measure how happy you are, you actually become even more happy. Our friends at Gobundance, the Tribe of Millionaires, use a very specific tool to measure their happiness. It's called the Life Happiness Index. And you can have it too. Go over to Gobundance.com/LHI and take your Life Happiness Index assessment. You'll rate yourself in multiple categories on exactly how happy you are and get a custom output for you specifically that you can use in developing whatever goals you have for your life. Gobundance is the tribe of healthy, wealthy, generous people who choose to live epic lives. And the tool Gobundance members use at the base of all of that is the Life Happiness Index. Get out there and grab life big.
I looked at it and I said, I am a liar. I am a cheater, an overseller, a back-end seller, a manipulator. I hate myself, and I'm going to take stock in who I was so that I can live a better life. And that was the third red flag that changed my life. And from that day, which is 2 years before I lost everything, over $100 million, I started working on it. And I'm still working on it today. It's progress, not perfection. Good behavior creates good progress, not good outcomes. And if good behavior is aligned with where we want to be or better, the progress will be aligned with where we want to be or better. And bad behavior interferes with it. And it wasn't an immediate change. I want to manage people's expectations. But it has been an amazing journey since 2006 when my wife was going to leave me, and even more amazing after 2008 when I lost everything, over $100 million, to where I am today, 16 years after that. I've made a lot of progress, and my mission is to help other people make the same progress as well.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a second here. But one thing in that turning point for you in the story, in your evolution that you talk about, is at the time you were more focused on being interesting, and today you're more focused on being interested. I struggle with this a little bit though. And this is for me personally, right? As a podcast host trying to grow this platform and, without getting into my whole story. But the part of the dynamic that draws in people is for me to be interesting. Now, interested, of course, as a host, because I'm curious and I lean into that curiosity when talking to somebody like yourself. But how do you balance interested, which is to me, I agree, like just from a feeling, a lightness, an alignment with who we truly are. Interested just feels better with being interesting so that you are, for you, booked on stages so that people want to partake in whatever you're doing, do business with you. Can you walk me through how do you balance being interested but still being interesting?
No one's ever asked me that question, so I hope you take that as a huge compliment, because as someone who does more interviews than anyone, I beg for people to say that. I've never been asked that,
Thank you.
either party. So um, I think in distinguishing the two, what I try to tell people is it's easy to be interesting when you are yourself. You see,
Mm.
I want to figure out what I'm doing to interfere with it. It's much harder to be interested. Everybody, there's three types of listeners. There's an interrupter who all he cares about is lying, cheating, over exaggerating, back end selling, amplifying, all the things that people do that are trying to be interesting. See, you are interesting because 10% of the people will love you no matter what, 10% will hate you no matter what, and the other 80% will love some of what you say, hate some of what you say, or be indifferent to what you say. And so all you need to focus in on is your essence. And you don't have to try to be you. You just have to be you. And so you is interesting. And whether we amplify the content that we do, what's more important is that you are you. But the three kinds of listeners, just so you know, when we're trying to be interested, you got the interrupter, who's he can't even wait to tell you how interesting he is, to oversell you, back and sell you, lie, manipulate, and cheat. Then you have the worst, which is the waiter. And I see people interview me all the time, and they're not asking the right questions or different questions. And all they're doing is waiting for me to shut up so they can ask their next question. They're not listening or learning. And then you have the learner, and life's about lessons.
Mm.
And so my belief, take it for what it is everyone on earth is already interesting. It's you lose your essence when you interfere with it with your ego that edges that goodness out of your life, your essence out of your life, because you're more worried about not who I am, but who I want people to think I am. That's the difference between people who are interesting and people who want to be interesting. And
Mm.
everyone, I promise you, if you explore your own skills, your own knowledge, and your own desire, that formula will create your essence of who you are. And if you stick to that, you don't have to have a good memory. If you stick to that, you don't have to rehearse things. If you stick to your own skills, your own knowledge, and your own desire, you will be one of the most interesting people that anyone wants to talk to. And I had a marketing campaign. It was the world's most interested man. And so I had a whole campaign about I want to be the world's most interested man.
That's
So
such an
ask those
interesting.
open-ended questions.
Yeah, that's great. That's such an interesting thing. So you talk about value alignment in in the time of those three red flags when you were going through all of that. What kind of recapturing values? So it's sort of like and I don't know if this is a question or a statement. I'll let you riff on it if you'd like to. But in particular, so you are very interesting now because of the period of time that you went through that you have, say, regret about or remorse about, or there's red flags that flared up. So I guess maybe it's a question. Is it fair to say that wherever we are today, based on whatever we've done before, whether good, bad, or otherwise, been to jail, hurt people, whatever it might be, it's who you are. Embrace it. It's part of your story, and that's what makes you interesting. Is that fair, or am I oversimplifying it?
No, you have nailed it. It's what you truly are. When we try to interfere with that, then we all of a sudden lose the energy that exists within the truth. You see, everything vibrates, but the truth vibrates the fastest. And most of us are
Hmm.
afraid of our own truth. and we're afraid to illuminate the truth, and we're afraid to be vulnerable enough to tell the truth, including me. I'm still peeling away the layers in the onions. When I first started building a brand, and Gary Vaynerchuk, I was helping him with his sports agency. He helped me build my brand early on. And I said, dude, I cannot tell people I'm bankrupt. Nobody will ever listen to me. And he said, no, that's the opposite. People will love you because you'll resonate with them if the truth. And I said, oh, the truth vibrates the fastest, the truth. And it took so much courage for me to tell people I lost everything. But here's the funny thing. More people ask me for financial advice today because I've lost so much money than ever did when I had it. It's crazy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Let me, in the interest of time, let me ask you this question. You had messaged me, and I thought this was so good. You don't remember this through Instagram. It was so great because I'm consuming your content, learning about you, and there's this message around giving and sharing and authenticity and everything else like that. And the message that you sent me that nobody would ever see, and I'm going to put it out to light right now, is all I ask is you share my content and do good deeds. Can you tell me, if we got 2 minutes left here, what is it that you want to make sure people hear when you say share my content? What do they need to hear from you that maybe we haven't covered in our short time together?
Well, look, life's full of lessons, and I have a $1,200 reminder every month, which is a storage facility in Southern California that hosts bankers' boxes of undergrad, grad school, law school, business school, over $1 million of personal development notes. And they're worthless to me. In fact, I keep paying that bill only because I want to remind myself that only capture that which resonates with me. And so all I ask is that you share my content, whether it's the books, the TV shows, the interviews, the podcasts, the speeches, the coaching, the free Friday trainings. By the way, I want to offer everyone in your community my book for free. I will send it to everyone. I will pay for shipping. I will pay for the book. It's, nothing is left out for you. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, and I will do all of that. Just david@dmeltzer.com. But here's the deal. If you capture what resonates with you, the lessons that come, sooner or later, that's what's going to be important in your life. And so, if any one of my pieces of content resonates, be more interested than interesting, be kind to your future self, do good deeds. Life is about lessons. The lessons keep on coming until they learn it. I don't know what I will tell you. The number one thing that resonates with the most people. So I study physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics. I have graduate degrees. I'm a fairly academic individual, and I have been exposed to billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers. I will tell you, my favorite thing about what I do is the number one thing that I say that resonates with most people out of all the hyper complex research that I've done and 8 books written, blah, blah, blah. I love this. Say thank you. Say thank you when you go to bed, and say thank you when you wake up. I promise you, it takes zero point 0.1 seconds and it's free. There's nothing I can teach you or help you with than simple gratitude that'll find the light, the love, and the lessons and everything. That simple lesson is another lesson inherent in the lesson, which is the simple things to do are unfortunately simple not to do. So if you raise your awareness to the simple things in life, like saying thank you will have an impactful life of aggregating all that you love, accelerating the outcomes as you wish, and compounding those outcomes to give you an impactful, exponential experience in your journey. That's what I'm here to do. I'm on a mission to empower over 1 billion people with these lessons to be happy, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. It'll take people like you, Jamie, to help me do so. So remember to email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We'll do more content together. I know that to be true, and I appreciate you holding true to the 20 minutes. It's one of my secret sauces in life. So thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. The gratitude thing at some point, God, deep dive that for a bit. But David, I appreciate you being on today. Thanks again.